Hey guys, Hobo here. Wow, so January is starting to get a little colder. Compared to last year, it's been fairly warm overall, but anyway, last night it got down to 30 degrees. Um, but I slept pretty well. I think I woke up at some point during the morning time and realized my face was cold and just pulled up the covers over me. Today I want to talk about long-term homeless advice. When you're homeless, life is on pause. You're not like yesterday is a memory, tomorrow is a dream. Um, you're living in the absolute present. Um, but like when you're homeless, maybe a longer term than 3, 6, 9 months, there's a perspective change with how you do the homeless life, right? Initially when I first came out here a couple of years ago now, I had like a one-man tent, a camping mat, like a foam camping mat, a 30-degree bag, and a jacket that didn't fit me, and that was it. I didn't really have anything better, and I didn't really see the need for anything better. I mean, over time, I, I got better stuff. Gear plays a big part, which I'll go into here in a minute. But gear does play a big part. But for the most part, I ended up getting a bigger tent, slightly bigger, like a 7x7 instead of a 7x3. And but basically, I stayed small because I expected that this is not the end of the story, right? That my I expected within 6 months or 8 months or a year that I would be back in an apartment or whatever. It was temporary, it's fleeting, right? So why invest in a better camp spot? Why invest in anything when just doing what was needed, having what was, the very basic, that was enough. Like, why invest? On the flip side, I was talking to my buddy Larry, and he was talking about, he's like a gear nut, a gear junkie, right? Or was, The thing is he was telling me about a story that several years ago when he first became homeless, he knew he was going to become homeless, so he invested in that homeless lifestyle by buying some really nice gear, really high dollar tent, high dollar sleeping bag, and all that stuff. Until he came back to his tent one night and everything was stolen, right? And so he had to change his mindset to a lower dollar, still quality stuff, but like a lower dollar amount, right? Or stuff that was good enough, good enough, but yet, and not high dollar, but that gave him what he needed, because you're not looking to get gear that's going to last you for a year. You're getting gear that's going to last you for, 3 to 6 months, and then you're going to replace it, so you want something that is gear that's decent enough, but don't go overboard, definitely. But like I've learned to have, like I buy on the cheap, but I try to buy quality where I can. But one of the things that's changed for me is the long-term perspective of the gear that I do have, right? The long-term perspective of having, like, the tent I'm in right now is 8x8.5. And compared to the tent that I had before this, which was a 7x7, it's like 20 square feet difference, which isn't very big overall, but like, my old tent, like my sleeping bags, at some part of them was always touching the, the edge and everything, and it just wasn't big enough. So it was always getting a little bit of condensation on it, and stuff like that, just annoyances. And I think what happens is, over time of being homeless, you just start investing in bigger and better, maybe not better all the time, but bigger certainly. You're investing in gear that is that's more livable, that is stuff that you're going to have for a while. And the thing is having a small tent makes you have a lower profile if somebody's looking out your way from the street or something, or for further in the woods, but honestly, it's not that big of a difference. And so getting a bigger tent, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bins in here with me, and I still have room to be comfortable, right? And so having a bigger tent is more in line with living out of a tent, as opposed to being homeless for 3 or 4 months where I'm not really worried about it, like I have like, I don't know, 10 shirts, and most of them are black, most of them are black shirts that I wear, because I don't want to have to, it's okay. I can take one black shirt off, put the next black shirt on, I have several pairs of socks. I have like 20 pairs of boxer brief underwear, right? Like, because that's a long-term approach to, living outside. Have waterproof boots. I have 2 pairs. I have a backup pair, and then I've got these that I'm wearing that I need to replace soon. I have tennis shoes, which are tent shoes. You tend to, the long-term approach is to have what you need, not having extra, but having what you need for, say, a month, or a couple of weeks at least. When I first got here and I was living out of my tent, I was living day to day, maybe week to week, as far as the amount of socks I had or clothing I had, and after that I'd have to wash them, doing a hobo bath or something. Now I don't have to do laundry for like 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm still fairly clean. And so that's what I'm talking about. You're looking at your living conditions, staying sane, staying cleaner, staying drier, like I think you can see in one of my older videos, I had like an umbrella, right? And that really didn't work out. It was a tiny, collapsible umbrella, and it rusted up. It was pretty terrible, right? I went ahead and bought as soon as I knew I was going to be here for the duration, I bought a raincoat, and then had problems with that, so got an umbrella as well, a decent, sturdy umbrella. So I have a raincoat and an umbrella. So there's things that I have that are going to last, but they're going to get me through whatever situation I'm in. I have 3 or 4 jackets, and I only wear really my puff jacket, and that's pretty much it. But I do have the other jackets just in case. And so, that's one of the main things. You're looking not necessarily for bigger and better, although that plays a part, because living out of a one-man tent for years at a time is just, terrible. It's unpleasant, At the same time, I don't want to build like a mansion up or anything with my tent. But I want to have it big enough so that, I spend a lot of time in my tent, and I don't want that time to always be feeling like the walls are closing in, But gear definitely plays a big part. You want things that are going to, you want options, I guess is what I'm saying. You want options to make your life better in the short term, in the somewhat long term, and you want to come off as clean as, you want gear that's going to just be better for you, right? Anyway, the next thing I'd like to talk about. So basically, you're just living instead of more minute options. You're changing the broad strokes about how you live. You're not changing just little things. You're changing like a broad stroke. So I've got a bigger tent, something I normally wouldn't have done in my my first year of being homeless. I would have stayed with a small tent. But now I've got a bigger tent. I've got more bins. I've got more options. I've got more clothes, and it makes my life easier. But the other thing is, I think it has something to do with my age as well, but I'm not sure about that. Like I know that, like when I was younger, I remember I was in mid Oregon, a little bit down the coast, and I was there briefly, but I found a camp spot but it was like 5 miles out of town, and there was no buses going there. But I found a good camp spot there, and so every 2 or 3 days I would walk 5 miles up, 5 miles back with carrying water, carrying food and everything. And the thing is that's not sustainable over time. If you're going to be homeless, a year or more, doing that kind of serious long distance walk. Sure, I could have gotten a bicycle, but it was very hilly, so I'm not even sure that would have worked. But eventually I kind of gave it up. But looking for a good camp spot nowadays, I have to be, I can't be walking across a big open field to get there. It has to have ease of access. It's got to be close to stores, library, gym, whatever I need, and so the mindset changes. You're wanting to make it as easy as possible, but at the same time, be camouflaged and be incognito and all that. But on a smaller scale, some other things have changed. Some are still the same. So like I said, ease of infiltrating, going into my and getting out of my camp spot. Easy in, easy out, but hard for people not really seeing. Also camouflaging my campsite so that it blends in. I keep a very clean campsite. I've got a couple of cans of empty Rockstar out there, but I usually drink, 3 or 4 sips out of one, and then just be like, I don't want that, so I'll toss it out. But when I get up for the day to head out, I'll put those cans inside my my trash, and I'll get my trash out. But yeah, you do these things that it's kind of like you're doing these little rituals to in addition to managing your despair, you're also you do things that you normally wouldn't do, like cleaning certain aspects of my tent, cleaning my campsite, keeping it clean. It's a sort of way to prepare yourself for what's coming next, right? Prepare yourself to, you're doing things like chores, basically, so that you can maintain a proper mental mindscape. There are some rules, unwritten rules. Maybe they're golden rules, I don't know. But there are rules to being homeless. When it's short term, you don't really think about them, but long term, there are good rules. The first one is never tell anybody where your campsite is. I've had, like, sometimes I'll be talking to some other homeless dude that I'll meet at like Walmart or something, and we'll start talking. He's like, well, where's your campsite? I'll be like, oh, that's like 3 or 5 miles down the road. I don't tell people where my campsite is. You never know what kind of agenda people have. And like, I don't know. I don't even want to invite that kind of like craziness to where I'm sleeping. I don't want some kids coming up and deciding they're gonna beat up the old homeless guy. So I just don't. I remain like Bigfoot. I'm kind of out and about, and people don't see me. I go into the woods and I just disappear. So secondly, don't ever tell anybody you're homeless. Um, I guess when I was first homeless years and years ago, I would tell somebody just to kind of gauge their reaction. But it's always uncomfortable when you tell somebody that you're homeless. Always is. And the thing is all that does is give people a reason to discriminate against you or to target you. Well, somebody's maybe a cashier, somebody's drawer is $5 short. Well, it must be the homeless guy. He must have stolen it because he's a criminal, a drug addict, or whatever. It's just giving people the reason to target you, and that's not cool. Don't look homeless. Where at all possible, wash your hands. Stay clean. I have found that being in the Pacific Northwest, it's a lot easier to do not to look homeless because for the most part, the style, I don't know, maybe because all the hippies came here to live in their communes and stuff, but everybody here looks homeless for the most part. So you kind of blend in, so you don't have to worry about that as much. But in other parts of the country, I've noticed that you want to try to stay as clean as possible. Leave no trace. That's a big part of that is just like cleaning up after yourself and stuff like that. But also, it takes on a different meaning. Like, for instance, in order to get back here to my tent, there's a wandering maze of trails, like a hedgerow of trails, a labyrinth almost to get back here. It's not like from point A to point B, because the thing is, if you walk the same trail for like 2-3 weeks a month, even if it started out as dense underbrush, over time, it's going to get to a point where it's, by you making those repetitive tracks back and forth, it's going to develop a trail, and people can easily follow trails like that. So, like for me getting back here, I pretty much get off the road at the same place. I go straight back, and then there's some circuitous routes that I go through to get back here. And, unless somebody knows that very circuitous route, they're not going to be able to follow my trail back here. And then when you get back here, I've got like this berm of limbs and twigs and all this other crap, so people can't really see it. So that's important. A big part of being homeless long term is you prepare. The weather plays a big part of your life. If you get wet and it's 40 degrees, that can just sap the will out of you. And actually, it becomes dangerous as you get older to be cold, and wet. So that's, I think I've mentioned it before, is that getting wet is a no-go. You do whatever you can to avoid that. I actually do have, I've got, right now I'm using this blanket, this heated blanket, that is actually, it's heated, I just plug it into my battery. It does go through battery life pretty quick, but it keeps me warm. And if I get wet, I make sure that I don't stay wet, and I don't, I bundle up in my sleeping bags and I get warm. But being prepared for winter, the cold definitely plays a part. The thing I like about the winter time is that, you can always get warmer through devices like my heated blanket or my sleeping bags or whatever. I can always get warmer. When it's in summertime, you have other concerns, not being able to sleep because it's so hot. You try to get like a fan, you try to get iced stuff, and you have to deal with bugs a lot more. That's annoying, but anyway, I guess I should end this video. And basically the last thing on my list really is never give up. The thing is you have to change that paradigm of thought, to not give up, to a point where you live in the absolute present. You've got a lot of bad memories. Who of us doesn't? Get past that. But unlike other people, like, there's no real tomorrow. So if you can live in the absolute present, and read books or watch movies or whatever you've got to do to get through the moment, then tomorrow is another day. Like, I don't even think about tomorrow, except as some, daydream or whatever. It's like, it's not even a thought. My goal is to get through here and now. Try to save up, try to have goals, but I spend a good amount of time in the absolute present and trying to get past that. That's all I got for today. I hope your road's a good one, and if you're homeless, I hope it doesn't suck for you. Take care.